What if I told you one of country music's most legendary duos is facing a heartbreaking end? And no one saw it coming. Ronnie Dunn's recent diagnosis has left fans stunned. And now Brooks and Dunn are preparing for a farewell that feels all too real. What really happened behind the scenes? And how did it come to this? Stick around, because this story is about more than music. It's about loyalty, loss, and a legacy that may never be the same. Absolutely packed with energy and expectation. The night of April 3rd in Indianapolis was supposed to be another unforgettable chapter in the legendary run of Brooks and Dunn. Fans filled the Gainbridge Fieldhouse with a mix of nostalgia and excitement, kind of atmosphere that only a duo like Ronnie Dunn and Kix Brooks could ignite. The lights dimmed, boots tapped, and from the very first chord, it felt like country music magic was alive and well. But something in the air shifted midway through the performance, and what followed was not just unexpected, it was quietly devastating. They hit the encore, fans were riding high. Boot Scootin' Boogie had the whole arena on its feet, a wave of joy flooding every corner of the venue. Then came the moment no one could have predicted. Ronnie stepped back from the mic and invited the crowd to sing along, something artists often do. But this time, it wasn't just showmanship. He gave Kix a look, tapped his chest, and slowly waved to the crowd before turning away. There was no fanfare, no pyrotechnics, just a subtle but soul-shaking exit. That brief gesture, so gentle yet so final, echoed louder than any chord played that night. Imagine growing up with a voice that walked beside your best memories. Road trips, heartbreaks, weddings, backyard dances, and then right there in front of you, that voice quietly steps away mid-song. It was more than just a farewell. It was an unspoken confession that something wasn't right. It left people wondering, not just if Brooks and Dunn were ending their tour, but if this was the last time Ronnie Dunn would ever sing from that stage. Throughout the night, there had been subtle hints, pieces of a puzzle fans didn't realize they were assembling until it was too late. During Rock My World, Little Country Girl, Ronnie, usually commanding the stage with his unmistakable presence, sat down. It might have seemed like a break to some, but to those who know his energy, it felt like a warning. Weariness? It wasn't just fatigue. It was something deeper. Online, fans started to piece it together. Comments like, "He looked winded," and "He wasn't himself tonight," flooded social media. People weren't just concerned. They were heartbroken. And there was Kix. In a moment that could have unraveled the show, he stepped forward and carried on. No panic, no hesitation. Just years of brotherhood and resilience holding up the weight of the moment. That's the kind of bond you can't fake. Watching Kix finish the set solo while the crowd cheered through their confusion was a reminder of just how much heart this duo has always brought to the stage. But nothing prepared fans for what came next. In a matter of hours, clips of Ronnie's exit were everywhere. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. Millions watching, pausing, rewinding. Was it planned? Was he okay? Speculation exploded. Whispers turned into a roar. Was this Ronnie's final performance? And why didn't he say anything? When USA Today reached out, the band's team issued a simple statement. Ronnie hadn't been feeling well. But fans weren't satisfied. They knew what they saw. That wasn't a cold. It was a man telling his audience, without words, that something had changed. And they were right. Behind the music, behind the stage lights, Ronnie Dunn had been quietly enduring a string of health challenges that would have brought most people to a halt. Back in early March, he was hit with a brutal combination of COVID and strep throat. 71, that's not just a tough week. It's a serious fight. For nearly 2 weeks, he couldn't sing. Couldn't even speak properly. The effects lingered, especially in his lungs. The frustration in his voice during a later interview was impossible to ignore. He wanted to bounce back, to be himself again. But his body had other plans, and that wasn't the end of it. Months before the respiratory issues, Ronnie had already gone through a major knee surgery after an accident while skiing in Colorado. ACL tear left him barely able to move for weeks. For a man whose job involves standing under hot lights for hours, that kind of injury isn't just inconvenient, it's career-threatening. Rehabilitation was grueling, and right as he was regaining his footing, life threw him another curveball. So when Ronnie tapped his chest and stepped away from that mic, it wasn't just a gesture. It was the culmination of everything. Months of battling his body, trying to hold on to the voice that defined a generation. And maybe that moment wasn't planned. Maybe it was just his heart deciding right there in front of 20,000 people that it was time. What makes this even more powerful isn't just what he did, it's how he did it. There was no press release, no drawn-out goodbye tour with billboards and tears. Just honesty, just grace, and that quiet dignity, that's what's etched into people's memories now. Fans are still clinging to hope. Is this the end, or is there a comeback hiding in the wings? Maybe the better question is, does there need to be? Because even if Ronnie never steps back on stage again, that moment, that deeply human, vulnerable, unforgettable moment, already cemented his place in music history. Not just as a performer, but as a man who knew when to bow out and trusted the music and his best friend to carry on. Maybe that's the real story here, that sometimes the most unforgettable performances don't end in confetti and fireworks. Sometimes they end in silence, in a soft wave, in a moment that says, "Thank you," and walks away before you even realize you're crying. And in that silence, we hear everything. It was one of those nights that etched itself into memory. Not for the spectacle, for the raw human moment hidden behind the spotlight. Ronnie Dunn, the picture of grit and grace, didn't cancel a show. No dramatic announcement. No last-minute press release. He simply walked out mid-song, giving a nod to the band and gesturing like he was handing over the reins. The crowd at that Indianapolis show barely knew what hit them. The second, they were singing along to "My Maria," and the next, Ronnie was stepping away, quietly, and that silence was louder than any encore. The thing is, Ronnie's never been the kind of guy to draw attention to pain. He's from that school of thought where the show goes on, no matter what. Even with a healing knee and a voice that's gone through the ringer, he was still up there under the stage lights. And it's not like fans didn't notice. Some could see him leaning on the risers for support, barely favoring one side, but determined to deliver what he promised. Not just commitment, it's legacy in motion. The deeper truth, that unmistakable voice, weathered, deep, and full of soul, is changing. Longtime fans have heard it. There's a new rhythm to his breath, a shorter reach in the long-held notes. Vocal coaches say it's not uncommon after illness, but for someone like Ronnie, whose voice was the brand, it's a heavy shift. Instead of bowing out, though, he's adapting. Songs have been rearranged, tempos adjusted. Sound engineers are mixing in real time, adjusting levels so he doesn't have to strain. If you've heard recent versions of Neon Moon, you know exactly what that sounds like. Different, yes, but not lesser. Just human. A question hangs in the air like a note never quite resolved. Is something deeper going on? Because back-to-back health hurdles, COVID, strep, knee rehab, aren't easy for anyone, especially not someone pushing himself like Ronnie does. The whispers started small, then grew louder. Is this Ronnie's quiet farewell? Is the curtain coming down, not with a bang, but with a soft, respectful retreat? Through all of it, Ronnie's kept his silence. No press tours, no dramatic confession, just a man showing up every time, doing what he's always done, bringing music to the people who've stood by him for decades. That quiet resilience, that refusal to play the victim, it speaks volumes. Because real strength doesn't always make noise, just shows up. But nothing prepared fans for what happened next. After Ronnie's early exit in Indianapolis, social media didn't implode in scandal or clickbait. It became something else. An outpouring, a wave of heartfelt concern that turned Brooks and Dunn's Instagram feed into a digital comfort zone. Comments weren't about refunds or complaints. They were love letters. Thousands of them. "We're praying for you, Ronnie. Take all the time you need. We're not going anywhere." It wasn't hysteria. It was community, and those who were there that night came forward too. Not with frustration, but gratitude. One fan posted, "Even though you didn't finish, it was still the best night of my life." That's not disappointment. That's reverence. People didn't just come for the music. They came for him. For the present, for the decades of memories wrapped in every note. But TikTok? It's where things truly blew open. A clip posted by country radio host Matt Malone caught the exact moment Ronnie passed the torch mid-song. "Sing it if you know it," Ronnie urged, stepping back as if he was walking away from more than just a performance. Over 86,000 likes poured in within hours. That single video turned into a gathering place for fans. all trading hope and heartache in real time. You could feel the pulse of worry in every frame. Ronnie tapping his chest, giving a gentle nod, disappearing into the shadows, dignified, quiet, and somehow even more emotional because of it. No spectacle, no meltdown, just a man reaching his limit with grace. Then came the rumors. The TikTok hashtags were everywhere. Ronnie strong, Brooks and Dunn forever. Pray for Ronnie. Speculation swirled. Was he okay? Was this the last tour? Was Brooks and Dunn finished for good? People clung to every update, every fan-captured clip, or hopeful. One person said, "Was in Peoria the next night and crushed it." That single sentence became gospel for thousands. A storm of worry. It was a lifeboat. And then there were the wild theories. Inevitable, perhaps, in the age of viral anything. Did something happen to Brooks and Dunn? Is Ronnie retiring? The questions weren't just about curiosity. They were about fear, about change, about losing something that's always felt like a constant. As Ronnie Dunn isn't just a performer. He's the voice people associate with falling in love, getting heartbroken, rolling the windows down, and letting the highway disappear behind them. When he steps off the stage, literally or metaphorically, it matters. It hits differently. Maybe it was exhaustion. Maybe the illness lingered longer than anyone let on. Or maybe, just maybe, it was a wake-up call to fans, to the industry, and maybe even to Ronnie himself, that no matter how legendary, even icons need to rest. And when they do, it doesn't mean they're gone. It means they're human, because sometimes what brings us closest to our heroes isn't perfection. The moment they show us they're just like us, fighting through pain, determined to deliver joy, and doing it all with quiet dignity. Ronnie Dunn may have stepped away from the mic that night, but the echo he left behind still ringing. Fans, they're still listening, still hoping, still holding on. What started as whispers of farewell turned into a storm of speculation. And suddenly the world was bracing for the end of Brooks and Dunn. Headlines were spinning wild theories, fans were posting teary tributes, and rumors of Ronnie Dunn's final curtain had hearts skipping beats. But wait, don't jump to conclusions just yet. Is the truth hiding behind those somber headlines? It's not just different, it's downright jaw-dropping. Right when it felt like the curtain was falling, these country legends flipped the script. After their performance in Indianapolis, Ronnie's unexpected exit left fans stunned. His voice, usually a force of nature, had dulled. His posture slouched. When he slipped backstage, the silence said more than words ever could. It felt like the beginning of goodbye. Then came the twist no one expected. A calm, official statement dropped like a lifeline. Ronnie wasn't stepping away forever. He was simply catching his breath. Respiratory issue, yes. Life-threatening? Absolutely not. Just like that, a tidal wave of fear began to settle into relief. Still, one lingering question haunted the crowd. Now, here's where it gets cinematic. Rather than canceling the tour or retreating in secrecy, Brooks and Dunn chose transparency. They didn't pretend Ronnie was fine, didn't ignore the obvious. They adjusted. They evolved. Behind the scenes, set lists were reworked. Background vocalists were added. And staging was redesigned to give Ronnie space to recharge. This wasn't a retreat, it was a reset. And the brilliance of it, fans never missed a beat. Harmonies soared, the guitars thundered, and Ronnie, resilient as ever, kept showing up. Can we pause for a second and appreciate the level of loyalty that takes? Ronnie could have easily bowed out for the season, but instead, he chose the hard road. A road that meant pushing through night after night, not just for the applause, for the connection. That's the kind of grit that builds legends, not just singers. And honestly, isn't that what sets apart the icons from the rest? Reboot 2 tour is still blazing across North America, with dates stretching into late 2025. It's not the sound of a swan song, the rhythm of a band still making noise. The noise that shaped an entire generation of country music fans. Brooks and Dunn aren't walking away. They're walking taller, smarter, and with even more heart than ever before. Ronnie Dunn's health scare was a moment of reckoning, not just for him, but for all of us watching. We forget sometimes that our idols are human, that even the strongest voices can falter. But instead of letting fear dictate the story, Brooks and Dunn rewrote the narrative with honesty, with grace, with fire. And speaking of fire, let's talk about Ronnie's lifestyle. Because beyond the spotlight, he's built a world of quiet luxury. Ronnie is known for his love of classic American muscle cars. His prized '69 Camaro and a custom Dodge Charger turn heads wherever he goes. When he's not on stage, you'll likely find him sporting a Rolex Daytona or a Patek Philippe Grand Complication. Timeless pieces for a man whose legacy is equally enduring. His real estate portfolio includes a sprawling ranch in Tennessee, outfitted with its own recording studio and equestrian trails. Private jets? Of course. He's been spotted flying Gulfstream GIVs for years, often using them to hop between tour stops and business meetings. His financial empire stretches beyond music, with investments in Nashville's booming real estate scene, partial ownership in a boutique whiskey brand, and even an interest in high-end recording gear startups. Ronnie's been smart with insurance too. Comprehensive coverage protecting his voice, his touring assets, and long-term health. The man isn't just surviving, he's thriving, teaching us that strategic wealth building is about more than paychecks. It's about planning, passion, and knowing your worth. And maybe that's the biggest takeaway from all of this. Ronnie's journey hasn't just been about fame. It's been about forging something that lasts. Through storms, spotlight, and silence, he stayed true. And in doing so, he's shown us what real endurance looks like. If you're watching this wondering how to build a lasting legacy, pay attention. Ronnie's playbook is full of lessons. Diversify, invest smart, protect your assets, and above all, stay connected to what matters. The journey of Brooks and Dunn has always been one of powerful contrasts, boot-stomping anthems to quiet reflections, from sold-out arenas to deeply personal setbacks. It's how they handle those contrasts that keeps fans coming back. They don't shy away from vulnerability. They own it, work through it, and they keep moving forward. It's rare to see two artists with decades under their belt still finding new ways to connect, not just with each other, but with us. And maybe that's the magic. Maybe that's why even when fear hits and rumors fly and the music slows for a moment, we still believe in them because they believe in us too. So no, this isn't the end. It's not even the beginning of the end. It's simply a new chapter, one written with wisdom, rhythm, and a deeper appreciation for every single note. If you've ever danced, cried, or driven down a back road to a Brooks and Dunn song, you're part of this story too. And as Ronnie steps back into the spotlight, guitar in hand, voice steady once more, know this: he's not just singing for himself, he's singing for every fan who held their breath, for every doubter who thought they'd seen the last of him, for every believer who knew legends don't fade, they adapt, they endure. It might be the most powerful performance yet, not because it's loud, but because it's honest, because it's flawless, but because it's real. Stick around. The boots aren't going anywhere. Lights are still warm. And the music? The music is just getting deeper. There you have it. Ronnie Dunn's brave battle. The emotional crossroads for Brooks and Dunn. And the bittersweet farewell that's got every country fan feeling the sting. From chart-topping anthems to unforgettable tours, their legacy isn't going anywhere. But wow, what a ride it's been. If this story hit you in the feels, go ahead and smash that like button. Drop your thoughts in the comments. We read everyone. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories behind the music legends you love. Coming up next, look into another icon's shocking final tour that's got fans talking. Until then, keep the music loud and the memories louder. Because legends like Brooks and Dunn never truly say goodbye. They just take a final bow under the spotlight.